Graph rate of change of functions. The question is, describe and sketch the rate of change of each of the following functions. So we are given two functions here. A, that is a reciprocal function, and B is absolute value function. You need to find rate of change and sketch it on the same graph. I'd like you to pause the video, answer, and then look into my suggestions. Now, rate of change is the change of y value with respect to x. From the graph, what we see is, if we draw a tangent at different points, we get rate of change at those points. So let us start drawing tangents from left to right. So this half, which is in quadrant 3, if I draw a tangent here, it is almost horizontal. The slope is kind of approaching 0, right? Now if I draw a tangent further away towards the right, it is having a negative slope, and it is a negative but a very less value, right? If I draw a tangent at this point, which is at -1, the slope seems to be, let's extend this, right? So what you have to do here is draw tangents and find the slope. This slope seems to be 1 and this slope seems to be half, right? Just comparing. Now if I draw a tangent further, then it is more negative, and as we go along this curve, it is almost vertical. So as you can see, the tangent actually is almost 0 on the left extreme and infinitely large but negative as we approach 0, right? And it is kind of 1 here. So we can draw this as this graph, right? This point is kind of 1, so let me just draw like this. So this seems to be a representative of rate of change of the given function, right? So we'll follow the same process on the right side of the graph, which is in quadrant 1. So as you can see from here, if I draw a tangent at 1, then it is kind of like this. So this line, which has a slope of 2 divided by 2, but it is negative, right? Rise is -2 and run is +2, do you see? So this value will correspond to -1 for the rate of change. If I draw a tangent here, it is not that steep, and this tangent is kind of half, right? So here it is negative since the line is going downwards, so the value could be kind of here, right? Now if I go to extreme right side, it is almost 0. It is not 0 but approaching 0, so I can say, well, this arrow represents approaching 0. Now if I move closer to 0, then I find that the tangent is steep but negative, right? So that means a higher value. As I move further closer to 0, it is higher and higher, and it is kind of approaching infinity, right? So it's a vertical line. Connecting these gives me the graph for rate of change for this function, right? From the symmetry, you can see this part will be very, very symmetric to, it will be exactly similar to the one on the left side. So that gives you the graph for the rate of change. I hope the concept is clear. So when you do it, draw tangents, find their slope, that is rise over run, plot a point as I did in the second half. Connect them to get a neat sketch for rate of change. Okay, let's do for the second graph. In absolute function, if you take any points on the left side of the graph, like here, you find rise over run. So rise is going down, just like -1, and that is +1, right? Going towards, so that is a slope of -1, right? So that means it is up to this point. Let me draw a hole here. I'm not considering this for the time being. It is -1. So as anywhere on this graph, if you take any 2 points, slope is going to be -1, right? So it's a line which is coming downwards with a negative slope of 1. Okay, if you consider the points on the right side in quadrant 1, you can see here that the rise is 1, run is also 1, and therefore the slope of the tangent or slope of the line is actually 1. So on this side the graph will be like this. How about the origin? Now here the slope is undefined because you don't know which line to consider. Do you see that? And that's the reason why I'm making a hole here. So rate of change is absolutely clear on the two sides of this absolute function. It is -1 on the left side and +1 on the right side. But at the vertex, this corner, it is undefined, right? And therefore, I made these holes. So it is undefined at, let me write, it is undefined at x equals to 0, right? But if x is less than 0, then slope or rate of change, I should say rate of change is equals to -1, and if x is greater than 0, then the rate of change is equals to +1. So that is how you can get the graph or the sketch for rate of change of each of these functions. I hope the concept is absolutely clear. So in other videos also, I've drawn the tangents but not calculated the value. So in the test, I'll request you to draw tangents and calculate their values so that you get a better graph. I hope the point is well taken. Thank you and all the best.